Okay, so are you ready for this? Get ready to dive deep into this Hollywood mystery. It's got more twists and turns than, more twists and turns than a pretzel. Jamie Foxx, Diddy, the FBI. We're talking possible investigations, and it's got major conspiracy theory vibes going on.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, you sent us a ton of articles about Jamie Foxx's recent Netflix special taping, and apparently he's dropping some serious truth bombs about that whole hospitalization thing back in 2023. And get this, some people who were at the taping are saying that he's pointing the finger at Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs.
No way.
I know, right? Crazy. We've got multiple accounts from people who were there, and they all agree that Diddy's name came up. But, the details are a little murky. It's kind of like a game of telephone.
I hate that game.
You and me both. So you're our resident Hollywood expert. What do we actually know so far?
Okay, so let's rewind back to April 2023. Jamie Foxx's daughter announces he's been hospitalized. Something about a medical complication, but they kept the specifics super hush-hush.
Ah, the classic celebrity secrecy move. Of course, that just gets everyone talking even more.
Exactly. And then a few months later, Fox himself describes the whole experience as hellish. He even said he wasn't sure if he was going to make it.
And then there's that whole cryptic Instagram post, right? Something about a fake friend betraying him. Come on. That's totally fueling the fire.
Oh, totally. And here's the thing. Fox never actually mentioned Diddy by name back then. All these recent claims are coming from people who were in the audience at his comedy special. And, well, let's just say their memories aren't exactly matching up.
Oh, this is going to be good. So spill the tea. What are these eyewitnesses saying?
Well, one of them is this videographer, goes by the name Choke No Joke. He's claiming that Fox straight up said Diddy was responsible for what happened to him, like directly responsible. And he even said Fox claimed he called the FBI on Diddy.
Whoa, hold up. Call the FBI. That's serious stuff.
Yeah, and Choke No Joke also pointed out that Fox made his big public comeback right around the time Diddy got arrested in September.
Wait, Diddy got arrested? What happened? I totally missed that.
We'll get to that, I promise. But let's stick with Choke No Joke for a minute. He was pretty adamant that Fox didn't seem like he was joking. But then again, it was a comedy special. So who knows?
True. It's comedy. It's all about blurring those lines.
Exactly. And that's what makes these eyewitness accounts so interesting. It's all about interpretation. What one person sees as serious, another might think is a total joke.
I mean, that's the beauty of comedy, right?
Oh, absolutely. But it definitely makes our job tougher.
Okay, so we've got Choke No Joke's version. But then there's another audience member. This guy's a security guard, calls himself Big Honey CC. He took things to a whole other level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's claiming that Fox flat out accused Diddy of poisoning him, like actually trying to poison him.
Whoa, hold on a sec. Poisoning, that's a little hard to believe.
I know, right? It seems pretty out there. He said he heard it directly from Fox during the taping.
Well, this is where things get really interesting and a little tricky. Big Homie's story kind of lines up with Choke. No jokes, right?
Wow.
Diddy being somehow responsible for Fox's health scare. But we got to remember, these are just their takes on what went down. It's like filtered through their own lenses.
It's like when you tell someone a story and it gets totally warped by the time it reaches the last person.
Exactly. And the thing is, we haven't heard a peep from Fox or Diddy themselves. No confirmations, no denials, nothing.
So it's all just speculation.
Pretty much. Oh, and one more thing. That whole Diddy arrest thing back in September, that was about something completely different. Some alleged threat against a college student. Nothing to do with Fox at all.
So that connection Choke No Joke made was just a guess.
Yeah, purely speculation.
All right, so we're back, and I'm still kind of reeling from those eyewitness accounts. It's like we're trying to put together a puzzle, but some of the pieces are like from totally different puzzle.
Oh, I know, right? It's crazy how two people can witness the same thing and walk away with completely different stories.
It's like, what even happened? So let's go back to Choke No Joke for a minute. He was saying that during the taping, Fox said Diddy was responsible for what happened to him, and even went as far as saying he'd called the FBI on Diddy.
Yeah, and don't forget that detail about Fox's big public reappearance happening right around the same time Diddy got arrested. Like, Choke No Joke even mentioned seeing Fox hanging out at a Dallas Cowboys game with Jerry Jones right after.
Oh, yeah. Almost like once Diddy was out of the picture, Fox felt safe to come back out.
Yeah, maybe. But I think we need to be careful about jumping to conclusions. I mean, we still don't know what that medical complication was or exactly what Fox is claiming Diddy did.
True. It could all be a big misunderstanding. But that timing, it just feels a little too coincidental.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's definitely weird. And then there's the whole thing about Fox supposedly calling the FBI on Diddy. I mean, that's a pretty serious accusation, especially coming from someone who's usually, such a jokester.
Yeah, it makes you think, like maybe there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about.
Right. Like, what's the real story here? But remember, that whole Diddy arrest thing wasn't about Fox at all. It was something about an alleged threat against some college student.
Oh, that's right. So maybe there are like multiple layers to this whole story. Like maybe something went down between Fox and Diddy before Fox even ended up in the hospital, something that would make him call the FBI.
I mean, it's possible, right? But we really need more info to even begin to guess what that could be. It's like we have 5 pieces of a puzzle and we're trying to force them to fit together.
All right, so let's switch gears for a second and talk about that other eyewitness account.
Mm-hmm.
Big homie CC, the security guard. He's the one who said Fox accused Diddy of poisoning him during the taping.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I think that was particularly interesting because it just raises so many red flags, I mean, accusing someone of poisoning is serious business.
It's basically saying they tried to kill him, right?
Exactly. And to say something like that publicly during a comedy show, it seems like a level of bad blood that goes way beyond just a simple falling out.
So, what are we supposed to make of that? Do you think Big Homie CC is exaggerating to get attention? Or maybe he misheard what Fox actually said?
I mean, those are good questions. We also have to think about the fact that Fox might have just been using hyperbole for comedic effect.
Like when a comedian says, I was so tired I could have slept for a week. Obviously, they don't mean it literally.
Right. Comedians use exaggeration all the time to make things funnier.
But then again, the way those eyewitnesses described Fox's demeanor, it didn't really sound like he was joking.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Without more context, it's impossible to say for sure what Fox really meant.
Okay, so we have these 2 eyewitness accounts. One is saying Diddy was responsible, and the other one is saying poisoning. And they both supposedly heard it from Fox himself, but their stories are different. So, what do we do with this?
Honestly, I think the best way to approach this is to accept that both Choke No Joke and Big Homie CC might be telling the truth as they see it.
They both genuinely believe what they heard, even if their versions don't line up perfectly.
Exactly. Human memory can be pretty unreliable, right? Plus, it's easy for our own biases and expectations to influence how we remember things.
So maybe Choke No Joke latched onto the responsible part, and Big Homie CC focused on the more dramatic poisoning angle.
It's possible. They both heard the same words, but processed them through their own personal filters.
This is getting more and more like a psychological thriller every minute.
I know, right? And here's the crazy part. Fox's special hasn't even aired yet.
Oh, yeah. So we're basically analyzing rumors based on rumors, like a secondhand account of a show nobody's even seen.
It's a game of telephone on steroids.
Totally. Trying to solve a riddle, but half the words are missing.
Exactly. It's a good reminder to be extra cautious with stuff like this. We're dealing with allegations, rumors, interpretations of what people think they heard. We got to be careful not to jump to conclusions,
So what can we actually say for sure about these eyewitness accounts?
Well, I think the safest bet is to acknowledge that they bring up way more questions than answers. They give us little hints, little glimpses into what might have happened, but without more information, it's impossible to know how much weight to give them.
Okay, so we've really dug into those eyewitness accounts, and I gotta say, I'm even more curious now about what actually happened between Fox and Diddy.
Me too. And I think it's time to pull back the curtain a bit and dig into those industry whispers we talked about before, the ones about their big falling out. There's got to be more to it than just 2 friends drifting apart.
Yeah. I mean, to go from being close buddies to, supposedly accusing each other of all this crazy stuff, that points to a major rift, a total breakdown of trust.
For sure. So let's try and figure out what could have caused that kind of shift, that sudden change. The timeline's kind of blurry, but we do know they were considered super tight for years.
Oh, yeah, they were practically inseparable. Always at the same parties, working on projects together, giving off major bromance vibes.
And then somewhere around the time Fox was hospitalized, the rumors started swirling that things had gone sour between them. Some people were saying it was a slow drift, and others hinted that something specific happened to cause it.
So, any clues about what that incident might have been?
Sadly, no. It's all just guesswork for now. Some people have said it was about a business deal that went bad. Others have said it's something personal.
It's so frustrating not knowing. It's like watching a movie on mute. You can see everything that's happening, but you have no idea what they're saying.
I know. It makes you wonder if there's a whole backstory we're missing, like some hidden drama we haven't even heard about yet.
So we know there was this falling out, but we still don't know why. What could possibly cause two friends to have such a major blow-up?
Well, we got to think about their personalities, right? And the whole environment they're in. Fox is known for being like this super talented comedian, charming everyone he meets, a real people person, always bringing the energy and the laughs.
And then there's Diddy. He's cultivated this image of a super savvy businessman, a music mogul, kind of like a larger-than-life figure, you know? He's definitely got that I'm the boss energy.
Yeah, for sure. So it's totally possible that their personalities, their ways of doing things just clashed at some point. Maybe they disagreed on a business deal, or their personal lives just went in totally different directions.
Or maybe they were never as close as we thought.
Oof, that's a thought. I mean, sometimes those Hollywood friendships are more about keeping up appearances, you know? Less about genuine connection and more about what each person can get out of it.
So maybe this whole falling out is just a case of two people growing apart as their lives changed.
Could be. But without more information, we can't rule out the possibility that something more dramatic happened between them.
Like some betrayal. Or a disagreement that turned into a permanent split.
Exactly. We have to consider all the angles until we have more to go on.
Ugh. This is killing me. We've explored all these different reasons for their falling out, but we're still no closer to the truth.
I know, it's the worst. But that's how these things go, right? It takes time for the truth to come out.
Well, while we're waiting, let's not forget about the big elephant in the room, Fox's hospitalization.
Yeah.
And all the questions surrounding it.
Right. That's like the heart of this whole mystery. We know he was hospitalized for some kind of medical complication, but the details have been super vague.
And Fox himself hasn't really said much about it, other than describing the experience as hellish.
Yeah, totally. So we're left with a ton of unknowns, like what was a medical complication? How bad was it? How long was he even in the hospital for?
And the big one, is there a connection between his health scare and the Diddy drama?
That's the question, isn't it? But without more information from Fox or Diddy themselves, we're just shooting in the dark.
So we're back to square one.
I know, it's like hitting a dead end. But don't worry, we're not giving up. We're going to keep digging. But for now, I think it's time to shift gears a little and think about the bigger picture. Like, what does this whole situation mean for Fox and Diddy's careers? Their reputations. This whole thing has definitely cast a shadow over both of them.
Totally. For Fox, it's like the mystery around his hospitalization just fueled the rumors, right? And now with these Diddy allegations popping up, it's just adding another layer of drama to an already super complicated story.
And for Diddy, even if these accusations aren't true, it could seriously hurt his image. I mean, he's worked hard to build this reputation as a successful businessman and entertainment icon.
Especially on top of his legal trouble from that threat against the college student. It could make people think he's unstable or unpredictable.
Yeah, and that's not a good look when you're trying to maintain that level of public trust and respect.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do next. Do they address all this head on? Or do they try to lay low and hope it all blows over?
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. This story isn't going away anytime soon.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's do a quick recap.
We dug deeper into those eyewitness accounts, looking at their strengths and weaknesses, what they might really mean. We talked about the rumors surrounding the Fox-Diddy falling out, trying to figure out what might have happened and when.
We also talked about what this whole thing means for their careers and their reputations, the serious nature of those accusations, and the challenges they're going to face moving forward. So, where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, I think it's time to widen our scope a bit. We've been focused on Fox and Diddy, but what about all the other players in this? Are there other people or other factors that might help us understand this whole thing better?
Oh, that's a good point. There are always more layers to peel back.
Exactly. So next time we'll dig into the bigger context of this story. We'll look at other people involved, industry dynamics, maybe even external factors that could have played a part in all this.
Sounds like we've got a lot more work to do, but hey, that's what makes it so exciting, right?
I'm with you. So stay tuned for the final part of our investigation. We'll continue to untangle this web of intrigue and get closer to the truth.
All right, so we're back. And I gotta say, this whole thing is it's like a soap opera, but in real life.
I know, right? It's got all the elements: drama, mystery, betrayal.
So we've talked about those eyewitness accounts. We've brainstormed some possible motives.
Yeah.
But now I think it's time to zoom out a little. Look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, like take a step back and consider the whole landscape.
Exactly. And let's be real, we can't talk about this without talking about Hollywood itself. It's a world known for its craziness. The competition is fierce, people are always switching sides, and everyone's got a huge ego. So could all that be playing a part in this whole Fox-Diddy mess?
I mean, for sure, Hollywood's a tough place. It's all about who's on top, who's got the power. And friendships can get trampled pretty easily in that kind of environment.
Yeah, it's like when two actors are both up for the same big role, suddenly that friendly competition can get really intense.
Oh, absolutely. And then you've got the entourages. Those inner circles can sometimes make things even worse.
Don't even get me started on entourages. Always whispering in people's ears, stirring up drama.
It's like, who's a real friend and who's just playing the game?
Okay, so we've got the whole cutthroat nature of Hollywood as a possible factor.
Yeah.
What else should we be thinking about?
Well, we can't forget about the media, right? A lot of what we're talking about is based on rumors and speculation, and the media loves to blow things out of proportion.
Oh, they love a good scandal.
Yeah.
And they're not always too worried about whether it's actually true.
Exactly. They're all about getting those clicks, those headlines, and that can make it really hard to separate fact from fiction.
Especially in a situation like this, where we're missing so many pieces of the puzzle. It's easy for the media to spin things, create a whole narrative that might not be true at all.
Right. It's a good reminder to be careful about what we believe, especially when it comes to celebrity gossip.
So yeah, take everything with a grain of salt, especially if it's coming from those outlets that love to exaggerate.
Okay, but here's another thing to think about. Fox's hospitalization happened during a really stressful time for everyone, right? Like, the whole world was kind of freaking out.
Oh, for sure. It was a wild time. We had the pandemic, political craziness. The economy was a mess.
Exactly. And all that stress, all that uncertainty, well, it's bound to affect people, right? Maybe it amplified personal conflicts or created tension where there wasn't any before.
So you're saying it's possible that Fox and Diddy's falling out had nothing to do with them? Really? Like maybe they were both dealing with their own stuff and it just blew up?
It's definitely possible. When the world feels like it's falling apart, our personal relationships can suffer.
Man, this is complicated. Hollywood drama, media hype, global stress. It's a lot to untangle.
It is. And honestly, we may never know the whole truth. But I think by looking at all these different angles, we can at least get a better grasp of the situation.
Right. It's about understanding the complexity, not necessarily finding a simple answer.
Exactly. And that's what makes these deep dives so fascinating. We're not just sitting back and listening to a story. We're actively trying to figure it out.
So we might not have all the answers about Jamie Foxx and Diddy, but we've learned a lot about the whole Hollywood scene, the way things work behind the scenes.
Totally. So as we wrap up our investigation, what are the key takeaways? What do we want our listeners to remember?
What's the big lesson here?
First off, let's not forget that this is more than just gossip. We're talking about real people's lives, their careers. It's easy to get caught up in the drama, but we got to remember that there are real consequences for these guys.
It's a good reminder that even celebrities are human. They have feelings, families, lives that go beyond what we see in the headlines.
Exactly. And as we continue to follow this story, we got to be careful about what we believe. Don't just buy into every sensationalized headline or unverified rumor. Stick to the facts, be open to different viewpoints, and don't jump to conclusions.
Words to live by. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this?
I think it's the importance of thinking critically, In a world where we're bombarded with information, we got to be careful about what we absorb. Question what you see and hear, and form your own opinions. Don't just blindly believe everything you're told.
And that's what these deep dives are all about, right? They make us think, make us question, make us dig deeper.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe down the line, when more information comes out, we'll revisit this whole thing and get even more clarity. But for now, I think we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. Big thanks to everyone for joining us on this wild ride. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep those brains working.